So as the 90s closed to an end and the 2000s are coming, you might all have noticed that everything moved to Brooklyn. Every scene, every happening thing, every young trendy person, everybody moved to Bedford Avenue, pretty much. I drove down it tonight, there was 1 million people out in the street, it was just a hub. Well, that's what Avenue A used to be like. But now you go to the East Village at the weekend, it's all these people, I don't know where they come from, they're just horrible, they wear horrible shirts and things, and they all just scream and drink at Zoom Schneiders, and it's just... Anyway...
Days, skinny women and small dogs, right?
Kinda, yeah, it's really bizarre. You know, we are one of the last bastions of the old neighborhood, and we're just hanging on by our fingernails.
Used to be the best thing on the block, now you're the worst, right?
Absolutely, that's what happened. You know, we used to like keep the place safe and police the place up, and as it all turned over and the whole place got gentrified, we are the people making the noise, we are the people that everybody complains about. Luckily, the locals that are across, that live in those low-income housing and stuff, I was there first. So they feel okay about me being there, so I think that's why I still survive. Anyway, a lot of good people came through the years and worked at the shop. Josh McKenzie, an American guy, believe it or not, came and worked at the shop for a while. Eddie McGarry, who's here, worked at the shop for a while. A guy called Zach Tucker worked at the shop. Another one, Rick Marimon from Sweden. A whole bunch of people came, and while it was very hard to keep the shit going, these people helped keep it going. It's an interesting thing about business. If you have a few good friends who are really into the hobby and they believe in you, they will spend their money with you and keep your doors open. I've got a few of them listed. Mike Kramer, very close friend of the shop, has spent hundreds of thousands of dollars. Really?
After that one BSA, how much was that?
Unbelievable. Andrew Anderson, another great customer, built him a lot of bikes. A guy called Sven Lindback, a whole bunch of guys. It's really interesting. A few guys can keep you afloat when there isn't much going on. Anyway, we're going to tighten this up a little bit better.
Hugh, what drew you to the British bikes all these years instead of Japanese, American, European bikes?
That Triumph that I saw, the mic wasn't on at that point, but when I had my Yamaha, which was my first bike, when my neighbour pulled the Triumph out the door, it was just like, wow, this is the real shit. And when he gave me a ride on it, it was basically the same thing as this. And I've always pretty much had one of them.
Who was that,
since,
Demi? Was that Demi?
No, it was a guy called Steve Lintner, who was a bit of an eccentric. He wrote a really cool book on all the old diners on the East Coast. He travelled all the way up and down the East Coast and wrote stories and took photographs of, you know, Rosie's Diner, home of the Quicker Picker Upper, and stuff like that. You know, and he made this really cool book. And he had that bike, and he moved away. I don't know where he ended up being. I think he was back down in Philly. And years later, I guess, mid-90s, he called me up one day and said, hey, you remember that old Triumph? I was like, sure, I remember, that's the one that started all this shit. And he was like, well, you want to buy it? I was like, instant, just ran straight down to Philly, 800 bucks, got the bike. It had been sitting for a while, fixed it all up now, and that one for 15 years. Probably the best bike I ever had. 1970 Tiger, if anybody wants to know.
What happened to it?
That's a very good motorcycle. What happened to that is a very interesting story. It's funny how things can come to an end. It was my daily ride, went everywhere on it, really loved a motorcycle. This guy came in with a 1970 Tiger, another one, you know, and his gas tank was leaking. So we took it down to the basement and blew it up. Fucking blew the gas tank. 6th Street Specials does not weld gas tanks. That's one thing we will never ever do again. Ever. The thing exploded, and this guy, it was a totally stock bike, stock paint job, everything, all just nicely faded. The guy loved his bike, he was in tears. So the tank on my bike, which was painted this kind of blue sheen, still had the original paint underneath. So we very carefully removed the blue sheen off the top, and underneath it was this disgusting green colour that those bikes are. I don't know if you're familiar, it's just the most horrible colour ever. But there it was. So the tank came off the bike and moved over onto this bike, and the bike was never the same bike again. It ended up getting this little Bonneville tank on it, and its demise happened right there, and it ended up getting sold. So that was the story of that bike.
Did you get it back even without the tank?
What's that?
Had a chance?
No. One thing I have learned, that bike is actually an anomaly. I have learned, because I've been in business at this game, don't get married to your motorcycle. Get married to your wife. Enjoy your family. Live with that forever. The motorcycles, you can get rid of them. You can always get more. People who get so invested in their machine and they get buried into them for 20 years and stuff, it's a real mistake. There are many motorcycles out there that are better than your bike, and you should try riding them, because it will be an animal. You know, really. Everybody got that, including Indian owners and all sorts of people. All sorts of people. You can sell it. You can sell it. It's okay. All right. I'm mixing up my pages.
Can I?
Obama? No, I don't think so.
Hugh,
Yeah.
you were about to start talking about like the whole like bobber thing that was starting to
Yes.
come in. I had like a little three-part. Like the bobbers,
Yes.
cafe racers with the whole like rocker thing, and then with the new tribes that are coming in now.
Right.
It's just like, can you give me like kind of like the bobber thing, your thing on like the cafe racer, old rocker style, the things that people are doing now with these bikes, because they're getting bikes that are like looking basically like PCS, fucked up motorcycles.
Right.
You could restore them, but it costs more to restore them.
Absolutely.
So you take a PCS bike and you bobber it up, or you turn it into.
What does
like
PCS mean?
You know, just like it's like this, that, and the other thing.
Oh,
like
yeah.
all like you know, like the threads.
It's yeah, sure, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it has given life to vintage bikes. I mean, any old British bike can be turned into whatever you want to make it, whether it's a cafe racer, a bobber, all of that. All the rules go out the window. You can make what you want. You make your own bike. More power to you. You know, when we were doing it in the 80s and making bikes like this is what we wanted. We wanted bikes with suspension. We wanted bikes with a strong motor. It didn't matter about paint or anything else. As long as you could go faster than anybody and your bike handled, that's what it was all about.